Hi friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we are making a classic recipe that is perfect for a barbecue, for a summer picnic, or even for a family sit-down meal together. We will be making a creamy potato salad. This recipe is simple and delicious and tastes just like the old-fashioned potato salad that some of us grew up with. Let me show you how easy it is to whip up this family favorite from scratch. So the first thing I'll do is get my potatoes ready to boil because that is the ingredient that takes the longest. Typically, whenever I make potato salad, I just throw everything in a bowl and I don't use a recipe. But what I did is I wrote down some of the basic things that I put into it in approximate measurements, but I will be sure to put the recipe in the description below as I get it figured out in this video. So let's go ahead and get started by prepping our potatoes. So I'll be leaving the skins on these potatoes. I'm gonna cut out any spots that look like they might be bad. These were potatoes that are from our garden, but people feel that the Yukon Golds are a little creamier. Many times I like to use the red skin potatoes with the peel still on them. I just think it adds a lot of color to the potato salad. So potato skins actually offer benefits for your heart and also for your blood pressure. So now I'm going to just dice these up into small chunks. I like to keep my pieces kind of uniform and bite size. Well, this would be actually smaller than bite size, but I do little pieces like this. But you can really make them whatever size you want. I would just try to stay as uniform as possible, because if you have great big pieces of potato and then little ones, your little ones are going to get done faster than your big ones. I'm using 7 medium-sized potatoes for this recipe. About 3 pounds of potatoes would probably be equivalent. So I rinsed my potatoes and then I added enough water to just cover the potatoes. And so now I'm going to get them on the stove and get them boiling. So I'll turn this on high heat and then I'll come back here shortly and check on them once they start to boil. Okay, we got our potatoes on to boil. Now we're going to get our eggs going. I've done a little video on this before. I use the Instant Pot because when you're using farm fresh eggs, they are so hard to peel. I have never had a problem peeling the eggs whenever I do it this way. So basically, I call it the 5-5-5 method. You cook the eggs on high pressure in the Instant Pot for 5 minutes. You do a natural release for 5 minutes, and then you put them in ice water for 5 minutes, and they peel like a dream. So I use a thing like this. It's a silicone mat, and then I just put all my eggs on it, and you can do as many eggs as you want. I'm going to call this a 6-egg recipe, but I will probably actually put like 8 eggs in there, but this way I'll have some extra eggs in case I want to add more, and then also some that I can eat. And this has a little closure on it. Okay, I just put 1 cup of water in here, and now I'll carefully set my eggs down in here. Get my lid on, and then I'll set the regulator to ceiling. And then on this one, I'll push manual, and then I'll increase it to 5 minutes, and then I'll just come back here whenever they're done. Okay, so now it's time to chop up our onions, and I'm using a purple onion just for added color mostly. Most of the time I just use a sweet onion, but I had these in my garden. With the purple onions, I like to cut them pretty small because they can be kind of strong. You can use a Spanish cooking onion, but I prefer the taste of the sweeter onions or these purple onions. I think green onions would be good too. I don't know if I've actually tried them or not, but I'm sure that would taste really good. I'm putting down a 1/2 cup of onions for this, but I love the flavor of onions, so I always put plenty in my potato salad. There, the onions are ready. Okay, I'm gonna put my onions in this bowl. And I don't have any fresh celery, but I have freeze-dried celery, so I rehydrated that. I'll go ahead and get that in this bowl also. I got some dill here from my garden, and I'll use some of that, but you can also use dried dill. Fresh is always the best, but sometimes you just don't have it on hand. I just like to pull off the bigger pieces. It smells really good. To me, the dill just really adds so much flavor to the salad. All right, I got all the bigger pieces out of there. I'm just gonna chop this up finer. This smells so good. This will add a nice color to the salad as well. All right, so now we have our vegetables prepped. I'm gonna check on the potatoes. Actually, I think that they're done. If you put your fork in and it's soft, then you know that they're done. We don't want them to cook any longer. I like a somewhat firm potato. So we'll get these off, get them rinsed in cold water, and add them to the rest of the vegetables. Oh, the eggs are done too. So we'll let them natural release for 5 minutes and then we'll do a quick release. Okay, it's ready to open up. Whenever you open this, always be careful to turn it away from you like this whenever you open it, because otherwise you could get burnt. So I have my ice water ready, and I'm just going to carefully pull these out and put them right into the ice bath. And then I'll just dump them in there. And then we'll let these sit here for 5 minutes. Okay, I cooled my potatoes off with cold water and I have them all drained. Okay, I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of vinegar on the potatoes. And putting vinegar on potatoes serves 3 main purposes. It infuses the potatoes with flavor to balance the richness of the dressing. It improves the texture by preventing the potatoes from getting mushy. Okay, I got this all mixed together. I'm gonna set this aside and mix up my dressing. I'm going to make up some homemade mayonnaise. I do have a video on how to make this, but I'll just show you a really quick recap on how to make it. I pretty much always mix mine up in the 1/2 quart jar like this because there's a 1 cup measurement. And I'll put my avocado oil in there to the 1 cup mark. And then it calls for 1 whole egg. And then 1 egg yolk. Whoops. I have to fish the egg yolk out. I'm making a mess. There we go. Now I gotta go wash my hands. Okay, so then it calls for 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and I usually just guess at this. And then it calls for 1 cap of lemon juice. I think that's my favorite part about this recipe is it does not take very many dishes to make it. And it's really easy and it's a no-fail recipe. I've never had it fail. And then it calls for salt. I just put a little bit in here. And for my favorite part, let's whip this up with an immersion blender. There we go, nice and thick and creamy. I actually find that it works a lot better with cold eggs. Get my blender cleaned off here. Okay, now that our eggs have chilled for more than 5 minutes, I'm gonna show you how easy these peel. Look at that, they just pop right off of there. Show you another one. I usually just crack them a little on the counter. And then just take your hand and just pull that right off. See that? See how wonderful that works? All right, let's get some of these eggs chopped up. I do kind of a coarser chop. Some people will pulverize them and make them really small. This is all a matter of preference. I'm gonna put in the recipe 6 eggs, but you can add more or less if you like. Depends on how much you like eggs. I think I'm gonna put about 8 in here because I like to have plenty. All right, I got the eggs done and I just realized I forgot to chop up my pickles. So I'm gonna do that next real quick. Okay, we're gonna chop up about 1/2 cup of dill pickles. You can use sweet pickles, you can use relish. Typically I do use dill pickle relish, but I have these home canned pickles that I need to get used up. So I'm just gonna chop these up really fine. I've still got dill on my board here. The reason I like dill is because it adds such a pop of flavor to the salad. Some people use cucumbers. So if you like a milder flavor, cucumbers have a nice fresh taste to them. But I feel like the salad is much more flavorful with using the dill pickles. I just like to make sure they're really small, kind of like they would be in relish. But again, that is a matter of preference. If you like that really strong burst of flavor, you might want to leave them bigger. If you wanted a thinner potato salad, you could add some of the pickle juice to the dressing as well. All right, I think that's a good amount. Get them in the bowl with the rest of the vegetables. Okay, for the dressing, we're going to take 1 cup of mayonnaise. I have the homemade mayonnaise, but you can use store-bought mayonnaise. You can use Miracle Whip also if you like. So it's 1 cup of mayo, a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, or you can just eye it up like I'm doing, and a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and about 2 tablespoons of sugar, or if you're putting in honey, it'd be about a 1.25 tablespoons, or 1.5 tablespoons, somewhere in there. And then 2 tablespoons of mustard. I'm just guessing. Now is a good time to add any other spices or herbs that you like in here. And now I can add my dressing and stir it all together. I like a creamy potato salad, so if I see that it's still a little dry, I just add a little more mayo or a little more mustard. It depends on what the flavor is and what it needs. I really feel like with potato salad and many salads, it is a process of just continual tweaking to get it the way you like. Let's mix this up. I try to be gentle when I'm stirring it because I don't want to mash up my potatoes. A little mashing is fine, but I still want most of my potatoes to be nice and firm. All right, it's at this stage that I usually sample it and see what else it needs. It's already pretty good. It has a very strong dill taste. The flavor of the fresh dill is really popping. I don't know, I think it just needs a little more salt and pepper, and I'm gonna call that good. For once, I'm actually making something that I'm not doubling or tripling. But potato salad is something that only lasts for about 4 days in the refrigerator, so I don't like to make any more than what we can eat. Well, there you have it. Creamy, classic potato salad that's always a hit at the table. Now it's time to give it a try. I don't want to mess up my pretty bowls, so I'll just grab a different one. The first thing that jumps out is the dill. I have plenty of dill in there, but I really like it. I like the flavor of that fresh dill. Most of the time I use a dried dill and it tastes great too, but this definitely takes it up another notch. Sometimes it seems like it takes a while to throw together a potato salad, but when it tastes this good, it's worth it. I hope that you give this salad a try, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as what we do. There's many variations that you can do with this recipe. You could even add radishes, you could add fresh tomatoes. That does not sound great to me, but I know many people do. But there's multiple things that you can add that could add so much flavor. And if there's a way that you make your potato salad that's different, I would love to hear what you do to make your potato salad great. So please put it in the comments below and let me know. And if you love this video, give it a thumbs up and click that subscribe button so that you get notified every time I upload a video. I hope that you all are having a wonderful day. I look forward to next time. Bye for now.